Welcome to English Treasure. Hi, and thank you for watching our video. I'm an English teacher on the YouTube channel English Treasure. My name is Aidan. There are a lot of English teachers who are claiming to have excellent IELTS scores and saying that that makes them qualified to teach English. Obviously, I'm not Vietnamese. I'm British. I don't have an IELTS score. I don't need one. What I do have is 4 degrees. 2 from Britain, 2 from America. I also have 2 teaching certificates, 1 in English, 1 in mathematics. I'm also an advanced professional member of the Chartered Institute of Editing and Proofreading, which is one of the most prestigious societies in the world for English grammar and English vocabulary. Basically, I'm very good at English. So what topic are we going to talk about today? Well, it's a question that lots of people have been asking on lots of the Facebook groups that we are members of. How can I prepare for the IELTS exam? Many people are studying for the IELTS exam. You may be one of them. And a lot of people have obvious questions about how to study for the IELTS exam, how to prepare, how to get the best score on the IELTS exam. What extras can you do? What vocabulary should you learn? So my advice for preparing for the IELTS exam is don't. Which sounds ridiculous. How can you prepare for the IELTS exam without preparing for the IELTS exam? Imagine yourself as an examiner for the IELTS exam. Imagine yourself as the person who designs the IELTS exam. What are you trying to do with that exam? The answer should be obvious. You want to find out how good somebody is at speaking English. Can they read textbooks? Remember, the IELTS exam is used for admissions to university. Can they listen to university lectures and understand them? Can they write essays or business reports? And can they hold conversations? Can they talk to social contacts? Can they make friends? Can they communicate with professors and co-workers? These are all the questions that the IELTS exam is trying to answer. So what's the IELTS exam going to do? It's going to test your English. It's going to test your ability to read textbooks. It's going to test your ability to write academically or to write business reports. And in the speaking exam, it's going to test your ability to communicate clearly with another person. It's going to test your ability to use grammar in a way that will be understood. It will test your ability to find the right vocabulary for what you're trying to say. Now, we don't teach grammar on English Treasure. There are many, many channels and many, many very good teachers who do. We teach vocabulary and pronunciation. We try to teach a broad range of words so that you have the right word available for what you want to say. Now, sometimes the right word will be a complicated, academic word. And sometimes it will be very simple. One piece of advice that floats around among people preparing for the IELTS exam is you have to use lots of academic words. Well, if the academic word is the right word, if it means exactly what you want to say, then use it. But if there is a simple word, make, do, have, if there is a simple word that you can use, you should use the simple word. Why? So what do I mean by that? Well, let's think of a very simple sentence. I am eating spaghetti. Very simple. I am eating spaghetti. Simple words, except maybe spaghetti. But What would be a complicated academic word? Let's try, I am masticating and ingesting Italian pasta. It means exactly the same thing. Masticating means to chew, ingesting means to swallow. You could use those long academic words in a conversation, but the person you're talking to might not understand, and if they did understand, they would look at you as though you were strange. Why? Because they're the wrong words to use right there for that sentence. There is a simple word, eat, that means exactly what you want it to say. It means exactly what you're trying to communicate, so use it. If you read the marking criteria for the IELTS exam, you will see that 25% of the marks are for clearly communicating. 25% of the marks are for vocabulary. So a quarter of the marks come from being able to say what you want to say in a way that is understood. And a quarter of the marks are for vocabulary. Not just how complicated your vocabulary is, and not even just how big your vocabulary is, but whether you know the right words. You will lose more marks by using complicated, wrong words. So having said all that, we come back to the question, how do you prepare for the IELTS exam? And the answer I gave, which is that you don't. What you should do is simply learn English. That's what the IELTS exam is testing. Just you learning English, your ability to speak English, your ability to engage in conversation and to learn at a university, to work in a company. The IELTS exam isn't special. It's not a different type of English. It's just testing your ability to speak English. So you learn a lot of words. You learn the right words. You learn eat, because you're going to use it a lot. Perhaps you learn ingest, if you're going to go into medicine or to study biology. You learn the right words so they're there and available for you to use them when you need them. It's quite straightforward. You don't need to use any special tips or tricks. There is no way to cheat the IELTS exam. Another recommendation that we've seen floating around is that you learn a long, complicated paragraph that shows off how good you are at English. This is a problem. Imagine you're in the IELTS speaking exam and the examiner asks, where do you live? Very simple question. You could give a very simple answer. I live at home with my parents. It would be short, it would be simple, it would answer the question, but it wouldn't show off your English. So you recite a paragraph that you've memorized. I live at home with my parents. It is close to my work. Every day I go to work. It's a short walk, but it's quite pleasant. At work, I do, and then the examiner stops you. Why? Why has the examiner stopped you? Because the question was, where do you live? And you're not answering the question anymore. You're talking about your work. You're talking about how to get to work. Speaking is not just about saying something impressive, but about understanding what's being said to you and responding appropriately and correctly. Answering the question, connecting to what the other person has said. You know that in your everyday life. You don't start talking about where you work when someone asks you a question about where you live, so why would you do it in the IELTS exam? It's not special, it's not different, it's just speaking English. So if the examiner asks you, where do you live, you answer about where you live. I live at home with my parents. You might say, they live in a 3-bedroom house. It's quite comfortable. I have a small bedroom in that house, but it's nice enough and it's the right size for me. And you've said quite a lot, but it's about your house. So the suggestion that you should memorize a paragraph and recite it in the exam is a bad idea. Because the examiner could ask you almost anything, and you have to answer the question that's being asked. In real life, you're not going to know what people are going to ask you, what people are going to say to you. You don't have 3 months to prepare for a conversation with someone you meet at a bus stop. They're just going to start talking. And that's what the IELTS exam tests. Can you talk to someone at a bus stop? Can you answer a question you didn't expect? Can you respond to something basic and simple? Would you like to buy coffee? No, thank you. I'm not interested today. Do you have the right words for when you need them? So to study for the IELTS exam is the same as studying to speak English in the real world, because that's what the IELTS exam tests. That's what the examiners look for. That's what the test has been designed to do. Can you speak English in the real world? So to prepare for the IELTS exam, you prepare for speaking English in the real world. To practice for the IELTS exam, you practice speaking English in the real world, because that's as close as possible what the IELTS exam tries to do, what it tries to find out. How good is your everyday English? Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time on English Treasure. Bye. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, like it. If you learned from it, share it with your friends. And if you loved it, subscribe to the channel.